Hey, I just wanted to shoot a quick video talking about the bend radius of the 12V 2x6 or 12VHPWR, whatever you want to call it. There is some legitimate concern to bending these too hard and too close to the edge. Now, on the NVIDIA Squid adapter, this piece doesn't use wires, it uses a PCB, and so you risk cracking the PCB if you bend it too close to the connector. And in the case of these wires, I have had them where you bend them so much that the terminal either pulls back, or in some cases I've had them where they pull out completely. Now you'll see here, or hopefully you'll see here in this video, that you do have some play. So here is a sample that I found that had the most play, and you can see that terminal going back and forth there, I hope. So when you bend this cable, you're going to put more stress on the outside of the bend than the inside. And what that effectively does is pushes these terminals in and pulls these out, okay? Well, it doesn't mean you shouldn't bend these, okay? Because how do you think they make this, right? This is essentially the same connector, pre-bent, and then with a cap on the end to keep it in place. You see all those terminals are in the right place. So somebody was telling me that they had a problem with bending the Corsair 12VHPWR cable, particularly the individually sleeved one. So I got a brand new one here. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Okay, so don't need the manual. So here's your cable, okay? Here's your terminals. Let's check the play on this. Wow, there's actually not much play in this one at all. That's good, that's good. Yeah, I'm pulling it. You kind of see it a little bit. It's a little less play than the other cable I had in my hand. I'm trying to figure out which manufacturer made the connector. I cannot tell. Usually there's a manufacturer marking on these things like LST or HYM. But anyway, okay, I can't tell on this one. It is UL rated. I do see that. All right, so bending it then. So what you want to do is make sure, so I put slack in the sense wires because those are the smallest gauge, most fragile, right? So I put some slack in there, okay? Move the comb back there. So I put some slack in there, okay? And really all I'm going to do, just take it, bend it. You do this outside of the case, and it's gonna be a heck of a lot easier than trying to do it inside the case. Now, once you do that, check your terminals again. Are they all flush? Did any of them pull out? No, right? And now make a comparison. Watch that. Hey, how about that? Look what I just did. You know, so if you have, I think these connectors are 15 millimeter, so, yeah. About 15 millimeters, a little less than that. So we pretty much have a 25 millimeter bend there. And put the slack of the sense wires back down. All right. So the thing is, the rule, everybody's like, oh, don't bend it too close. It's just one of those things where people are trying to be. It's better to be more cautious than to just say do whatever. Okay. If you're smart about what you do and you double check your work, right, and you make sure, what I mean by double check your work, make sure that the terminals didn't pull out or anything, there's nothing loose here, right, then this is going to be good to just plug right into the graphics card and run out at an angle. And also another thing that has to be realized is not all cables are created differently. Different connector manufacturers, different terminal manufacturers, the wire, typically it's 16 gauge for these cables, but sometimes you'll have 250 strands of 0.08 millimeter copper. There's so many variables. So don't just make the assumption that a cable is a cable is a cable. They're all made differently. And that's just another reason why, there's a lot of CYA advice out there of, don't do this, don't do that, is because they can't assume that you have a, decent quality cable in your hand. You could do this. I've done this before on a cable that came with a power supply. I will not state who whose power supply that was, but when I did this to that cable, the terminal up here immediately just popped right out. And it was just dangling loose. I actually have a picture of it on my website somewhere, talking about this connector and the potential failures